So this here, this is the underside of your concrete, your floor. Generally about 100 mil of concrete, right? So this thing here will come up higher than the concrete for now. And when it comes later on for the tiling and that to happen, they just cut that off to suit, and there's that grate that you fellas see, that just slides inside that one. Right, so the grate, the middle part can come out. What it locks into, that can come out too if you have to get it out and replace it. But the actual, you can just get a new grate. If the grate breaks, you just get a new grate and put in there, you know, each time. So it wouldn't hurt in where you come from to actually have spare grates and things there so that these things can be replaced. But that's part of that can be little spare parts and that I can help Greg with to identify so that you sort of have them available to you, you know. And that pipe going out there, you all know water goes down LA. Yep. It's got to have grade, right? So the outside end of that pipe is lower than this end, so when it fills up, it just always flows away, right? And this is the thing here that can get hair and stuff build up in it, and even if you come home all muddy in that, you know, you have a shower, well, the mud, the heavy part of it will sit in the bottom of that, so you've got to keep that clean. But no broom can't pick up the basin waste pipe. You know, so all you see is pipes coming out of the concrete. Most of the time, there's a pipe underneath, you know, that you don't see. And this is an exercise, so you guys, it's more of an understanding. But even that one there will have a P-trap on it, a smaller one. But again, that can get hair in it and stuff like that. So, well, hopefully we can set up, and I think some of the communities, just a maintenance program, maybe every 3 months or something, or maybe even every time a house gets emptied, right, people move, just go through and run everything, make sure everything's working, turn the taps on, make sure they're not dripping. Because water, even just dripping taps, it might not cost a lot, but water's really precious. If you haven't got water, you know, that you're not drinking and things like that and washing, so it's the hygiene side of things, you know. So even if someone says to you, "Me taps are dripping," yeah, that's a pretty important thing, to get around there and have a look at it and fix it up, you know. Because water, particularly out in, like I've got to go out in the desert next month, out to Wingalina and that, and it's pretty, you know, I mean, it's a precious commodity, water. We've got to look after it, you know. Always out. So when the level is level up there, that's how much fall, but that's probably too much fall. Right, so that's how much the pipe's falling outwards, so helps the water run away, right? But always they've got to have fall, and to the outside, you know. If the pipes aren't put in correct, I mean, you could say go by this. There's too much fall, so this thing's showing too much. It's not level, because the way the grades are set up, when that's got the right fall, this thing will be what we call plumb. Yep. Right? So that level should read exactly in the middle. So what he's got to do, is lift that up, basically, kick it down a bit, but that's probably about right. So it's got, over that distance, it should be about 12 mil fall. This one here, this is the shower in the bathroom, and what the plumbers have got to do, they've got to leave a cap on it, so that in the building or kids and that, they can't throw rubbish down there and block it up. Right, so normally a bit of glue and just helps to protect the pipework inside. This here is normally what you see. That's all you'll see with the concrete or tiles around it, right? So that's your grate, and this thing out of the middle, well, that's the actual grate. This thing is, the whole thing's called a diamond grate. Right, so, and it's keyed there, so it can lock in. So, you know, for kids, it's pretty hard for them to get that out. You know, they generally don't think to turn it and things like that, you know. But that sits in here. Just slide inside. So after the concrete goes in and that, when the tiler comes, he sets that up. This thing's cut off to height, and he'll set this up to suit the level of the tiles and so forth. And then he'll tile right up to that edge there and cut the tiles around that edge. So all you see is that, right? And all underneath there, that's the P-trap, which holds water. That's your water seal to stop all the smell of the, the gun of the sewer and that coming up and coming inside the house. This important to maintain that and replace it if it gets broken, because it just makes it so easy for other things to fall in there and block it. And this is the one, they put the bag of concrete around it so that if someone puts a broom or that down there, it protects the pipe so it won't get broken. Because if that, and I've had to replace them, they blow the back out of that, all the smell, because the water just disappears into the sand, and it's a real bugger to replace, because you've got to knock all the concrete up and get inside, and you've got, because that's a fixed point and that's a fixed point, it's really hard to try and get the fittings back in there to fix it up. That one there goes to the basin, right? And with these ones here that are going outside, they've got to have grade, right? So these fellas, you'll see them, they'll go and put a level on it and make sure it's got the right grade outside. And if, like at the moment, this one here, it's got too much grade, because of the way these things are angled, it'll make this thing so it's not plumb. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to lift up the outside till it's got the correct grade, which then makes that plumb, right? Otherwise, if he doesn't do that, in the concrete, this thing would be on an angle, right? So it just brings it up level with the floor, right? And it becomes an unsightly thing too. When you go into your shower, also it'll create little lumps and that you could, trip over or whatever in the tiling. And this riser here, they're all plasticed up inside in the moulding, and these fellas have got to decide which one they want to use. That's why there's 4, because they might have another one over there, so they drill out that one too. And one's bigger than like 3 of the one size, and one's bigger than the other 3. Because you can have waste pipes that have got to be a certain size, like a shower, the smallest size is 50 mil, which is that one over there, the smaller one. But a basin can be 40 mil. So if he's got a shower over there, you drill out this one and run that pipe. So when it discharges, it all comes into this one point. The grade on the pipes is really important, because you know how water works, it always goes downhill. There's an old saying, shit don't go uphill, right? So it's just follows momentum and just follows outside, and the sewer pipe outside, that's got grade too. So it all just finds its way out. This one here is on, this building's on sewer, so there'll be a connection point from the water corporation out here somewhere. These fellas will dig up later. So it all grades to that point, right? This one here is the toilet, which we had a look on the plan. So the 100 mil one, again, it's got to fall outside, have grade outside. And again, these fellas here will have to cap it off so it stops any rubbish getting inside. And the small one is the floorway. So if the toilet does block, overflows, so instead of all the water going in through the house and the gunner and that, it runs outside. But people generally, they know it's blocked, so they'll turn the taps off, they won't use it, they'll call a plumber. If something does get blocked, obviously you don't just keep going and using it and make it worse, which I've seen down in Perth. So always maintenance, and this is part of your training that you fellas can, look at this. It's not the best job, but it's something, it's good maintenance, to keep that stuff running and keep it working properly. Kids put toys down in the toilet, and it could go around the P-trap in the toilet and get down here and get caught. So it's just will be part of good maintenance to get in there and clean them toys and that out. So if there's a blockage in that pipe, they can take this cap off, which is the same fitting. And see that IO? And you take this insert out and you can get into the drain to unblock it, right? So every time there's a different fixture inside the house, like this one here is the bath, right? Yep. That 100 mil one going in there, that's the toilet. Every time you have a junction off the main drain, you've got to have an IO, because if there's blockage, then you can get access. So every house should have that. right? But you can see there that rubber's not sitting right.
Yep.
So if he put that on test, that'd leak.
Yep.
So what he's got to do is, and this is no different even with you fellas, if you unblock a drain, that you make sure the cap goes back on right. Don't get any sand in here. If you do, have a bucket and wash it in water.
Yep.
Right? Because, see, that's not even sitting right there.
Yep.
Push it down in. It's a bit of a no good one, this one. Get in there. So that cap goes on. It's all the threads nice and clean. So when you screw that on, that'll seal. So, and also what it also does is because there's no water can come out, trees and that can't sense that there's moisture there, because the tree roots will get up and grow inside that.
Yep.
And they'll eventually break the cap and then get inside the drain. Right, so you make sure that rubber's sealed in there properly.
Yep.
And do it up nice and tight. Right, so when you get a drain, that's all you'll see. You know, like in a house, that's all you'll see. But what you've got there, obviously, you don't normally see all these pipes in a house like this one over here, you know, because it's all covered in. So when you dig down, all you see is these ones here. You would pick your tree.
Yeah.
Right, you wouldn't pick.
Tree that.
Here, like this morning on that prelay, now we've got the concrete down. This here is the laundry waste, right? And from here, it runs out there through the footing and it joins into the main drain. Righto, so this here is an inspection opening, which gives you the access to the drain if you've got a blockage, right? So that's just a screw cap, which you can take off, and there's what we call an insert inside. Josh, do you want to grab us that one there? So that one there is exactly what we have there. All right, so we would take this cap off, and you've got the rubber inside, then you've got to make sure that rubber's on there and it's not dirty and that. And you might have a situation where you need to have spare ones of these, because they get tightened up, they can actually, they will perish even though there's no sun and that on, and they become out of shape. So you might have to replace that, because it's really important that this is watertight when you're finished. So when you dig down, all you'll see is that cap sort of thing. Clear it out a bit so you won't get any sand in. Pull the insert out, and that goes in a certain way. It's toothed there and there, so it locks in. And this here is your access to your drain, so you can clean up this way or go down that way. Okay, so always make sure that your insert goes in. Right, so if you do a drain, don't pull that out and throw it away. You know, make sure your insert goes in, make sure your rubber's in good and it's clean. Maybe have a bucket of water with you so you can rinse it, and put your cap on, and there, that's exactly what that is. Righto? This one here, on the new drains, it's a clean out point that plumbers have got to bring to ground level, right? So that you can get easy access. You know, you've got to dig a hole there. If it's hard digging, it could be you might not get to it, you know. At least with this one, you can get to the main drain to clean that out. Okay, and that will have a similar cap on it to this. It'll just be a screw cap. It won't be one of these push-on ones that's glued on, right? It's got to be a screw cap. So there we have the laundry, which is that pipe there. This one here is the floor waste, which if there's any water spilled on the floor, that has the grate on it that you generally see, right? And they'll tile up to it, or it might even be a smooth floor like this. Right, and you can pull the grate out to get into that floor waste, but that's just to take the surface water away. And as we go down, and remember that pipe's always got to have full to either the septic tank or to the main connection to the sewer. This pipe here is your vent, which lets the bad odours and that out of the drain. Because if you don't have one of those, you can have all the smell come inside the house. And what that does, it doesn't stay that size, But when the walls go up, you'll have a 50mm pipe like you see poking through the roofs up there. Right, and got the cowl on top, right? And that, the reason it's up so high is the wind takes the smell away. So you don't get it, right? But every house has to have one of those vents. And when we go down a bit further, and so we've gone to the vent, and the vent is always up what is the top end of the drain. So it's like the furthest from the septic tank or the furthest from the connection to the sewer, so that it'll take that smell from the top end of the drain. Because if you had that down there, this pipe would still have smell in it that could get inside. Right, so you have it right up the shallow end of the pipe to take that away. This here will be the waste pipe for the bath, which will go in here later. Right. The boys might have to pull a little bit of concrete out to get the bath in. And this one here is the basin waste. Now you remember this morning we had the shower, we had that funny looking thing that they drilled out? Well, that's what that is there, right? So that waste pipe there comes back into here, and you can see in there where they've drilled it out. See them? This, yep. This one here, and again, because all you see, that's where you get to that one. Okay? And up here, because they can do this a bit different, so they'd have that one there going straight in there on a 90 degree. But this inside is no different. The cap comes off. You got the rubber inside. This insert should come out. I'm not strong enough. That insert, there it is, comes out. Then you got your access to the drain. And this mark in here, you got a keyway there. It always got to go in so that they line up, like that. So whenever you go into a drain, if you got to clean it, if you got one of these in there, make sure it goes back in. If there's not one there, don't worry about it, because some of the early ones didn't have that, some of the earlier fittings. Make sure that rubber's nice and clean. Maybe a bucket of water with you so you can wash any sand out. That's the one. Homeowner. And not just the homeowner, but also the people that rent houses. It gives them some power, I suppose, you know? And because there's too many shonky people around that'll rip off the consumer. You know, because at the end of the day, it's all dollars, money, 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 money. But it doesn't work that way. Consumer has to be looked after, and that stereo don't work, but geez, it looks good. You got to take it back, and if they say no, 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 there's people there that you know, and that's what we're here for, you know, to help out when there's a problem. Hey, I'm better looking than Tracy. You haven't been in the bathroom with Tracy, have you? This fitting here is your DT. Right, this one overflows outside, so you don't get anything overflow inside the house. Right, it's made so it can be cut off lower than floor level, so everything comes off. And this one here has got the kitchen sink connected to it. We haven't got the mound for it because they don't go on at this stage of the job, but normally you'll see that. Right, it's got the grate, and it's what we call lightweight domed. Right, and the reason it's got the dome on it is because people put pot plants on them and things like that, but because it's domed, it fall off. Right, and also even if you had something on top like that, it's still lower on the sides, so you know, it'll overflow from there. And this thing will just sit in the dome, and the reason for the dome is to protect this pipe. Right, and that sits in there, and then if the drains block up, it comes up underneath here, and this thing can rise up and just fall off to the side, and then everything overflow out here and not go inside. It goes inside, people can't live in the house. No, it can't be glued down. Kids take them and throw them away. You know, and I've seen somewhere where they screw them down and put glue on them and silicone, and can't do it. Just got to educate the kids. Leave that one there, don't touch, important.
They got them, that ones you're showing over there with them flicking ones, eh? It's a bit hard for the kids.
Yeah, but that's not one. That's a different setup. That actually goes on that other riser, the pipe up the end. This thing's got to be one like this. This one here's got what we call legs on it. They can come with legs or without them, because you get PVC mounts, which they don't have the legs, the Grate, or the concrete mounts, they've got to have the legs. Right, but the whole thing is this must be able to float, I suppose, because stuff comes up like toilet paper and stuff, and it'll block them holes off, and this thing will rise and then just fall off to the side, and then everything can overflow, not go inside.